When did people start saying, be safe upon parting? Be safe? The very assumption of it is that we're supposed to be living in fear. These are the little social engineering changes they're enacting to subtly manipulate us. Imagine if all of a sudden we were encouraged by the oligarchs to say, instead of hello, watch out. Be safe? No, I propose a new valediction. Be free. Breaking news this week was that Republican Glenn Youngkin defeated Democrat Terry McAuliffe for the governor's race of Virginia. Youngkin ran on a platform denouncing critical race theory and transgender males raping girls in bathrooms. After Youngkin's victory, conservatives like Pedro Gonzalez tweeted out messages like, "So it turns out that dumb culture war issues dismissed by libertarians and libs alike, like kids getting raped in public schools and indoctrinated into an anti-white curriculum, are actually extremely powerful motivators." In the Republic, Plato relates a dialogue between Socrates and a friend of his named Glaucon. The two discuss a parable, famous now for being called the Ring of Gyges. The ring allegedly imparts invisibility to whoever wears it. The whole of the book explores the notion of what is justice, and Glaucon says that if people were invisible, they wouldn't care about justice, and they wouldn't behave ethically. He imagines people wearing the Ring of Gyges and committing every depraved act that they could get away with. In her book, Eco-Republic, Melissa Lane takes this metaphor and uses it to explain how in mass society, people feel so insignificant, so small, that their negligibility amounts to a sort of invisibility. Lane notes how a certain subset of the population will use that negligibility as an excuse to behave immorally. I had this in mind as I was watching a 1980s TV show and came across some early propaganda trying to ease society into the idea of gay marriage decades before it was officially rolled out. It was just a feeler, a testing of the waters, but you can see it here on this game show from 1982.
In today's society, do you think that men should be allowed to legally marry another man and women another woman? Yes or no? Goodbye.
In today's society.
You got it?
Well, I would say that Jamie would say it's their business what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say yes.
You'd say yes. He would
Yes.
say it'd be legally all right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
In today's society, you couldn't do that in the 50s. Or...
No, you couldn't do it in the 50s. Maybe that's why we say in today's society, figuring that will affect. I see a guy in a red section shaking his head no.
Oh, sure.
But you don't care. This is not your section here. Okay, he'll say yes.
Yes, it's their business, right.
All right, here he comes. All right, Jamie, it's up to you, sir. What do you think? Should marriage be legal among men and women?
I don't think they should allow a man to marry a woman legally, or vice versa. And speaking of vices, this is a stupid question.
I don't know. I think it's a kind of an interesting question, really, because...
Well, then you answer it.
Well, all right. Do I get the $150?
Sure, I'll give you $150. Without getting into this, I would say no.
That's not what Joy said. Explain your answer, Joy.
No, I said that I think in today's society, it's their business what they want to do. If they want to marry male, male, female, female, that's their business. It's really not, we're not standing up to judgment to anyone anymore. Or maybe I'm just too free-spirited.
No, that's your answer, and that's the way you feel about it. I think it's a very valid answer. And I think Jamie answered the way he felt about it.
Notice how gay marriage was marketed to us through libertarianism. That's their business was invoked as a rationale. While I won't show all the panelists giving their talking points, suffice it to say that they all framed it in terms of it only being the concern of the two people involved. But then they ironically invoked the phrase, in today's society. Well, if you mention society, that ipso facto implies that your actions will affect more than the direct people involved. That's what society means. It affects others. I used to think of myself as a libertarian, but I no longer do. Because libertarianism, as I said, opened the door to leftism, and it peddled the false idea that whatever the individual does doesn't affect the rest of society. To get back to Melissa Lane, she talks about this false formulation writing, "Negligibility is a well-established and precise term in economics and political science. It is the assumption that each agent is so small a player that what he or she individually does in such pursuit doesn't materially affect the social outcome." But here's the thing. The enactment of social changes does affect the rest of society. And it affected it profoundly. It didn't, as they promised us, remain locked away as the secluded domain of private individuals. When you redefine marriage, you alter the underpinnings of society itself, because marriage is the basis of family, and family, as Aristotle says, is the basic unit of the society. In politics, he says that the nation starts with the family. Radiating out from the nuclear family are cousins. When you have a bunch of cousins together, you get a tribe. When you get a bunch of tribes together, you get a nation. So we were told that we could totally change the nature of marriage and family and that it wouldn't affect society. This is preposterous. Just as preposterous is the assertion that it would remain contained between private individuals. Instead, it's now being marketed hardcore to the youth in public schools, like Hazard High School in Kentucky, where they had male students dressed in women's clothes and giving lap dances to faculty members. Likewise, a father was kicked out of a school board meeting for having the temerity to read from an alternative lifestyles book that was in the school library targeting kids, as we can see here.
Concerning a passage from Gender Queer. Fast forward, we've been dating for 2 months. We've made out, we've had sex, we've moved on to sexting at work. I got a new strap-on harness today. I can't wait to put it on you. It will fit my favorite dildo perfectly. You are going to look so hot. I can't wait to have your...
Mr. Engels,
Yes.
I appreciate the,
No way.
I'd like to continue reading.
No, we're not
children
gonna
can
have,
hear
sir,
the adults.
sir, I'm sorry.
I want to have your blank in my mouth.
You're
I
out
want
of
to give
order,
you
and
the
if you don't
best
stop now,
blowjob of
we'll
your
remove you
life.
from the
And I want you
chambers.
inside me.
Remove them from the chambers.
Why?
Our kids are reading this. Our kids are reading
If
this.
we can be quiet, I will answer your questions.
Why is it your school?
I understand
You allow
that
this
if that
film.
book is in the classroom, and the language that he just read is inappropriate for this forum. Then why is it excuse me?
So let's backtrack to 1982, where we were told that it would just remain between two people, and that in today's society, anything should go. Okay, but libertarians must realize that if you're mentioning society, that implies that it won't just remain between two people. That's kind of what society means. More than two people. That it will bleed out and affect everything else. So we were lied to. We were given contradictions and told to believe absurdities. It was the gospel that goes back to what Melissa Lane calls negligibility. The belief that what I do won't affect anyone else. Turns out, it does. That's what the word society means. What you do affects others. But if you think of yourself as existing outside of society, you give yourself license for vice. And speaking of Melissa Lane, she had another interesting quote in her book. In any given situation, the Athenians had to choose to act either as citizens, polites, or as private individuals, idiotes. So idiot derives from the Greek word for a private individual, someone not concerned with the wider society. An idiot. The kind of people who advocate for vice, like drugs or open borders or prostitution. The Athenian leader Solon was famous for banning debt slavery. In Montesquieu we read, "At Athens and Rome it was first permitted to sell such debtors as were insolvent. Solon redressed this abuse at Athens by ordaining that no man's body should answer for his civil debts. The freedom of every citizen constitutes a part of the public liberty, and in a democratical state is even a part of the sovereignty." So Solon recognized that if someone could sell their body to make up for a debt, that this would erode not only the person's freedom, but the freedom of every other citizen. So Solon made selling one's body illegal. This ethical revolution is lost on the modern libertarian, who thinks that if a woman sells her body, it won't affect anyone else. This belief that we're all in a void and none of our actions affects anyone else is the hallucination of a narcissist, the solipsism of someone who has no instinct for civic behavior or ethical conduct, the delusion of a person who sees themselves strictly as a private individual. Oh wait, what was private individual again in Greek? That's right, idiotes. If you like this video, you'll love the New American Magazine. You can buy a subscription or donate to help more videos like this get made. Think of it as your own electronic swear jar. Every time you slip and lose your temper, you put a quarter in the metaphorical jar. After so many salty outbursts over the course of a month, well, there's your subscription. And for the price of a cup of coffee, you can help little Danielito get a well for his village.